With NAT control, similar to firewall control, there's a logical AND between the who, the where, the services, the source IP, and the destination IP. So again, users, departments, groups, from the SAML and SCIM attributes, the locations from the previously defined locations, the time of day based policy, and the device groups and operating system types. The services are again the layer 4 services from the standard firewall. The source IP is specific source IPs in the resources or IPs that you enter in the rule, and then the destination IP. It's obviously important to understand you can't do layer 7 rules for NAT because you have to make a NAT rule as the first packet that passes through, and therefore you never get to see the payload until you can't make a layer 7 rule for address translation. The NAT actions are, do I perform a destination address translation? So you're going to either destination NAT it to a specific IP or to an FQDN, which triggers the Zscaler service edge to perform a DNS lookup and DNAT to the result of that DNS lookup. And then you can do a DNAT on the port, which is a port address translation, which means you might say port 80 from the client changes to port 8080 when it egresses the Zscaler service edge. If we look at the IPS criteria for the intrusion prevention system, we're going to again apply policy based on user, group, department from the SAML and SCIM attributes, the locations or location groups from those definitions within the resources, the time of day based policy from those resources section, and the device or device groups from client connector, isolation, or those operating system types. There's then a logical AND with the services, so the layer 4 services, and the advanced threat categories, which are the IPS signature categories. Create a rule then based on the source IP, again logically ANDed with the other rules. Again, source IP groups defined in resources or specific IPs created for this rule. And then the destination IP again is a logical AND for all of the other criteria. It's an IP group that's defined in resources or specific IP addresses entered in this rule, and may also include countries or URL categories. IPS actions similar to firewall actions. You may either allow the transaction if it's been identified as matching the rule. You may do a block, which is a silent drop, which may result in retransmissions, a block reset, where you get a TCP reset towards the client, otherwise a simple drop for UDP. You may make a decision to bypass the IPS engine entirely if you're seeing, for example, false positives. And then the logging, similar to firewall, you either do full logging of transactions for non-HTTP and HTTPS, or you do aggregate logging, which is periodically logging transactions as they're grouped together.